بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله حمدا ونشكر شكرا ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم تسليما كثيرا مزيدا رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم ربي زدنا علما سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم وفقنا بعلم وعمل بما تحب وترضى اللهم ارزقني إخلاص في القول والعمل. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may this session be a means of salvation for the sins we have committed. Ameen. I also pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that for every seconds and minutes where we are investing in to listen to this clip, may it be amongst our investment into His akhirah. I also pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may He grant me the ability to present and may He grant you the ability to understand. Whatever goodness solely lies in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever evil, I would like to ascribe to myself and then shaitan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I welcome everyone to this sessions of Family, a Dynamic Institution. In the previous sessions, I had managed to share with you on the introductory to the Family, a Dynamic Institution. I went through with you general overview and the glimpse into the understanding of family. I described to you 5 different Arabic words related to family. Then we highlighted the ayah from Surah An-Nahl, and then we went to explore on the successive sessions on the process and the procedures of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have created Nabi Adam, and from then He created, and after that He created Hawa. In continuation of what we have learned in our previous session, today we will continue to embark to understand even better. And we will, from these episodes onwards, we will go into the intricacy of how to build a better family. Now, in light with that particular topic, in light with this particular topic of ours, let us start off with let us start from the glorious Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where He reveals in Surah Al-A'raf, Surah number 7, verse number 189, when Allah states, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وجعل منها زوجها ليسكن إليها. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. It is He who has created from نفس واحدة. Now, if you could recall in my previous sessions, or you can just easily right now you're able to retract back to the video clip which I presented on my last episode. We have explored on the word nafsi wahida, right? When Allah reveals in the Quran, chapter number 4, verse number 1, Ya ayyuhan nasu ttaqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsi wahida. The word which is being mentioned in Surah An-Nisa, nafsi wahida, it's again mentioned here in Surah Al-A'raf. In Surah Al-A'raf, chapter number 7, verse number 189, on nafsi wahida. What it means is Nabi Adam alayhi salatu wassalam, وَجَعَلَ مِنْهَا, from which He created, right, which we went through previously, right, جَعَلَ مِنْهَا, the way Nabi Adam, Hawa, his spouse, his wife was being created, right, whether was she created from the dirt, from the rib of Nabi Adam, or was she a creation on its own. وَجَعَلَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا, He is the one who created the zawja. Liyaskuna ilayha. The word sukun has a very interesting and catchy meaning in every single one life and particularly on who's going to get married in the future. Now, this ayah, it's a sign and an indication of Nabi Adam alayhi salatu wasalam is being created and he's being paired together with Hawa. And they are the icons of humanity as a whole, regardless of race, language, or religion. Whoever is being born on this world, onto this world, right, who lives on the surface of this world, right, one way or the other, we follow in the footsteps of Nabi Adam and Hawa, right? And every family which is built, it is being, or it will be built after them, right? It has been built previously. People who have passed away, right? Being is the process of someone who's going to get married. Being in the future, someone who's going to get married. So whoever embarks on a wedding or marriage, we are basically following the footstep of Adam and Hawa, right? So when the couple comply and adhere to the guidance which they have submitted and surrendered upon, which is submitting and surrendering to the legislation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they are fulfilling the guideline and abiding the guideline of the Maker, right? Which is the one and only Creator. If it's not, it is not, all right? So either you can have a Muslim family or you can have any other family, but you have that family without having the proper concrete and proper foundation or proper pillars, right? So when the pillar is built upon or the foundation is built upon the guidance of the legislator, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you are able to find the sukoon, which I will explain to you in due time, right? In a short while, we will explore about that, right? So it's now we are coming, the upcoming sessions, we will discover and also explore the different aspects of marriages, part by part, segment by segment, right? And we will create block above another block. It's like a Lego, right? It's entire, literally building, right? To create and build family, which is a dynamic institution, right? Family, a dynamic institution. So in here, we will explore on the objective, the goals, the purposes, the characteristic of husband, the characteristic of a wife, the role of the husband, the role of a wife, the responsibility of a husband, the responsibility of wife, and what have you. But in today's session, the aim of today's session is to address the definition of a ziwaj. Now, what is ziwaj, right? Which derives from the word zawj, which is zay, waw, and jim. Now, what is zawj? Amazingly, when I had the opportunity to explore, to search into certain dictionary, Arabic dictionary, I was able to find amazing linguistic meaning. And among the key meaning of zawj is al-irtibat, right? Al-irtibat, Ibn Faris, according to him, is muqaranatu shay bi shay. What is irtibat or rabtu shay? It is a knot. It is a tie. It is two things tied together. It is two things bundled together, right? It is two entities coming together. That is the fundamental linguistic definition of zawj, right? Like Ibn Faris, he said, a well-known, linguist, he said that muqaranatu shay bi shay, something which is compatible coming in together. Something is suitable which is coming in together. That is the linguistic point of view. Now, what is istilahi? What is the Sharia point of view? There are many scholars who have defined, right? But in conclusion or in concise, what it means is in Arabic is al-aqdun yufidu hal istimta' kullu كل من الآكل من الآخر على وجه المشروع. Al-Aqd. Al-Aqd means it is a contract or it is an agreement. Like when you purchase your house, they give you an agreement. When you join a new job, they would issue you an agreement. If you want to be committed with a commitment, there will be an agreement, right? If you were to sign up for if you were to sign up for a telecommunication, a telco, right, service provider, they would give you their agreement. If you were to open a bank account, they would give you an agreement. So it comes with its regulation, clause, condition, shurut. So that is the meaning of al-aqdul yufid. This is an agreement which benefits, which permits hal istimta, right? It permits intimacy between two of them. Kullu min akidain, right? Between both of those parties. Min al-akhar ala wajh al-mashru', in the guidance with revealed legislation, right? In light or in direction with the revealed legislation. So in a nutshell, what it means is this is an agreement which permits the impermissibility. So what was impermissible previously is being permitted through this Acct. So we can put it in a silly example would be a contract, a sales contract, right? Things which you're unable to have the service previously, with your agreement to abide upon those clause and condition is right now being provided to you. Means previously you did not have you did not engage the service. Now you have agreed to engage the service, so it comes with its own set of laws, right? So, and it also means, number two, it binds two unknown figures to know. So previously, right, your spouse or your loved one, right, it is unknown. And even if they are unknown, what it means is it is not permissible for you to mingle in the way where it is now permitted for you to mingle with, right? So even if you find in those wedding functions, when the night or the one who is in charge to the solemnizer who solemnizes the wedding, will say that right now it's permitted, right? Sekarang dah halal dah, right? Sekarang dah halal dah. Now it's permissible for you to do, right? So what is permissible for you to do? What was impermissible right now is permissible for the individual to do, right? Its binding is within its parameters of Sharia, right? The third one is its binding is within the parameters of Sharia. So from here, we are able to conclude that, right, from the Sharia perspective of Zawaj is, number one, it is an agreement which permits the impermissibility, number one. Number two, it binds two unknown figures to known. Number three, its binding, it's within its parameters of Sharia. Means that no doubt that it is permissible, but you need to enroll yourself into this institution. You need to admit yourself to this institution, this particular school, in order for you to experience those perks, right? So this is where it brings me to the very known ayah amongst the entire ummah. Those who have lived, those who are living, and who will deem to live in the future. An ayah which is related to wedding and marriage. And always we are able, one way or another, we are able to find this ayah either being printed in a wedding card, or the solemnizer would recite this ayah during the before the solemnization, right? Reminding on the purpose of both of them binding together, both of them coming in together with regulations. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifully reveals in chapter number 30, Surah Ar-Rum, verse number 21, where is where he reveals بعد أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. Right? So I'm going to break down this ayah, into piecemeal, into piece by piece, in order for us to appreciate it more better, which will then enhance and strengthen the relationship between our loved ones better. But even before me breaking down this ayah, the amazing and puzzled thing is the placement of this ayah. The Mufassirun were puzzled. Why is this ayah is being placed in Surah Ar-Rum and not any other surah? And amazingly, Surah Ar-Rum is known for war. Rum was revealed to Prophet ﷺ, right? Giving him the indication that they're going to conquer, Rome. And it has got to do with, basically, in a nutshell, it means war, right? So the fact that the word W here is war, right? While this ayah, it is about another W, which is wedding. Now, in conclusion, what they concluded is, when two souls fine-tune to peace, which is sakina, we will explore in a short while, fine-tune to peace amongst each other, the household will be then built upon peace, right? That household will be built upon peace. And then every single household within the blocks, within the streets and avenue, when they comply and abide accordingly, the entire streets and avenue is being built out of peace. When the households are in peace, the entire cities will be in peace. And when the entire cities will be in peace, the nation will be in peace. And when nations are in peace, right, they will refrain from participating in war. When they refrain from participating in war, what can we have? It's a harmonious and content world within us. So it starts from two individuals, right? How they are going to fine-tune to this contentment and peace amongst each other, between each other. So this is an amazing placement where not many might have highlighted on the placement of this ayah, right? Where else it is being placed in room, which is directly linked to war. But then again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is directing the individual. What is better is to build and create a tranquil family, so that when the family is tranquil, the household will be tranquil. When households are tranquil, the cities will be tranquil. When the cities are tranquil, the nations will be tranquil. Then you do not find wars amongst each other. How amazing and beautiful it is, right? When we understand from the perspective of how the Mufassirun have taken the initiative to understand just the placement of this ayah. Let us now step in further to understand about this ayah. Wamin ayah. Wamin is tab'id, right? Basically, it's got to do with some, or basically certain. So there are many other things are out there from the creation of Allah. This is a part of it, right? وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ مَا قَالَ آيَةٌ وَلَكِنْ آيَةٌ, from amongst his signs, right? Or proof or evidence. Signs of what? Proof of what? Evidence of what? Signs and proof and evidence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existence. How can we know whether Allah exists? Right? In ayah itself is categorized into two categories. Some ulama have said, ayatul kawniyah, and there's another ayah, and amongst the other ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Don't you find that there are so many signs within you that you are able to understand and comprehend the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from amongst these signs, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, right? From amongst these signs, أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ, Allah have created. Khalaqa lakum, created for you. Now the lakum, some scholars have said it is referring to only men, which is the kaum of Adam, right? The successors of Adam, which is the gender of male. Where else you have another group of scholars, Mufassirun, have stated that it is also referring to men and women, right? And khalaqa lakum min anfusikum, from you, which we have explored, which we have discussed in the previous session. Min anfusikum here, one of the two interpretation is from the dill of Nabi Adam, that Hawa is being created from the rib of Nabi Adam. That is one interpretation. While the other interpretation is it is created from the same nature or same kind. That, you know, this combination and this tie and this binding, it is not from a different species. Not like, you know, some say men are from Mars or women are from Venus, they are from two different planets. No, they are being created in the same planet, right? We are being created in the same planet. We exist in the same planet, and we also have the same values within each other. So these values and indeed it is the humankind. It is not from any kind, because you have certain practices in some countries that, you know, you find that the humankind will interact with non-humankind like animals. You're able to search and find out more about certain country. They have the practice of biological interaction between human and animal. Yeah, Allah have created. Allah says from your kind, right? Means His humankind. Azwaj, right? Which is plural from zawj, which we have just literally tear out those words. We have, you know, ripped it into pieces just now. We understand the linguistic point of view and also give you the Sharia point of view. Azwaj, pairs, group together, you know, two figures coming in together. Litaskun, right? Sukun come from the word sakan, right? Sakan means abode or a place where a person resides. But amazingly, sakan is also being used. When I was studying back in the Middle East, I used to say in a sakan means a hostel. A hostel is a temporary place where you or anyone around the world, when you stay in a hostel, when you reside in a hostel, what it means is a temporary place of abode, a temporary place of stay, right? And why is it so amazing here? Because your life and my life is temporary, right? And the spouse you have agreed upon to stay together with are also temporary, right? So in this life itself is temporary. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indicating that this marriage, right? No doubt that the marriage is equally as same as your life, which is temporary. And in this temporary life, you and I, whoever embarks on this journey of marriage, they are able to find another sakan, which is tranquility, which is contentment, and which is peace. That the minute you have agreed to get together with this partner of yours, this pair of yours, right? No doubt it's temporary, but in that temporariness, you are able to find contentment, you're able to find tranquil, you're able to find peace, right? It is not immediate, but it is eventual, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the end result in the center of this ayah, then further explaining explicitly about how this couple is able to achieve and attain the contentment and tranquility within each other. Allah continues by stating, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, right? And it is He who has made, right? It is important, even before we move on to the successive word in this ayah, which is mawadda wa rahmah. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, it is the bridge which connects between the sukun and mawadda and rahmah, right? وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. What it means is it is important, and it emphasizes that in order for a person to experience the tranquility, you and I need to enroll and admit ourselves into this dynamic institution where God has set his legislation in it. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, God is the one who has legislated the legislation, and it is important for us to abide and comply to his legislation in order for us to experience the tranquility, right? So وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, because you are unable to find an individual is unable to find the ultimate tranquility. The individual is unable to the individual is unable to experience the true and real tranquility if they are not going to comply to God's legislation. This is why you find that there are people who, they have this practice of cohabitation. They cohabit together, but yet after few months later, after a very short while later, they just go off. Why? Because no doubt that you come under one roof, but you have not complied to the compliance of the legislator, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when a person is able to comply to God's legislation and practice accordingly, then you're able to experience that tranquil and contentment between each other. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, and it is he who have made, it is he who have engineered in them mawaddah. Let us first dive into the understanding of the word mawaddah. So the linguists, again, they have extensively explained on the word mawaddah. So some amongst them, in conclusion, we can't go into every detail in this short episode. We can go into maybe one or two. Amongst it is mahabba wa ziyada. Mahabba wa ziyada. And the other one is al-husul. Al-husul. Mawaddah wa ziyada here means the intense love and more. Right? It is not only love, but it is an intense love. Wood means love. Mawaddah means the extreme form of love. And more, which is the affection which comes together with it. Right? Which gives you the experience of not only having to have the affection, but caring for the individual, right? And you're able to sacrifice for the individual, right? When you're able to understand the definition of love, right? What is the meaning of love? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Quran explains Quran, when Allah reveals in Surah Al-Imran, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You are unable to attain righteousness here is love until you give what you love for yourself. Right? So it's sacrifice, right? So mawaddah is where Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he explains even further by stating that it is experience where you find it in your heart and also in the body. So it is not only the emotion which comes out from it, which the emotion within oneself then will translate into the interaction between each other, which will then balsam the love into better. So, in the very primary stage, when you get married, when, you feel the love, the extreme love is there, and continuously the romance between the husband and wife is being literally being expressed through the interaction where they have amongst each other. And when you have mawaddah, which is the extreme form of love, the word extreme itself means that it is in the peak, right? When someone extremely loves someone, right, it has the chance of it wearing off, wear and tear. When something is extreme, it needs to go down. When something is on the peak, it needs to go down to not peak. When you are loving that person very extremely, right, and you'll be thinking there's no one, there's only you who's there, then you start to realize about the other things coming together in this particular marriage, which are your in-laws, right? They come in together, the in-laws come in together, where you are having your romance time between each other. It's when you find that, you know, your in-laws come in, and then one says to the other another thing. And what happens is, through that, the extremeness then starts to become a bit sour, right? The extreme love then turns to dilute, right? Because of intermingling with your in-laws and your friends who comes into to your place or meets you. They say one thing about your husband, and vice versa, and you find the husband is being continuously being fed with some other wrong information about the wife. So what happened is, the level of love will then start to deteriorate. The extremeness will start to deteriorate, will start to melt. Like when you have an ice cream with you, right? When it's very cold and chill, it's nice. When it starts to melt, you start to feel that the ice cream starts to drop in parts of your limbs, and you start to clean off, right? So here is not only having the extreme love. This is when Allah said it is literally being packaged and bundled together with Allah, another sign, which is Rahmah. Because there are times where you might not feel the love, but that is when you equally need to practice the Rahmah. What is Rahmah here? This is when you practice forgiving. That when you're unable to find the love within each other, when the love fades away, right? When the love fades away from your heart, when the love fades away from your heart, about your love fades away from your heart, then this is when you need to practice the forgiveness. That Rahmah should be applied over here, because love fades away about someone just like that. When it fades away, when you feel like, I don't love you anymore, this is when the Rahmah, it's about the love. Out of love, you protect that person. That is Rahmah. Out of love, you care for the person. That is called Rahmah. Out of love, you shield the person. That is called Rahmah. Out of love, you continuously give your support to the person during the time of adversity. You will have time of prosperity, and equally you will have time of adversity. During the time of adversity, this is when we need to practice Rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Rahmah can be only practiced when the person is in the institution of the dynamic institution of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the continuous effort of building a better family, which will then be able to build a better society, and the society can then have a better nation, and we can then have a better understanding between the humanity to refrain from war, and we are then able to achieve and attain the peace amongst each other. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifully concludes, right, by stating that inna fi dhalika la ayatin liqaumin yatafakkarun. Indeed, right, in it there are many signs in the entire journey of marriage. Marriage itself is not one science. There are many signs which entails it, right? Marriage is a journey, right? Like how a person will travel from one part of the world to another part of the world, the long hours of journey where they exchange different emotion, they experience different experiences in their life. What more about the journey of marriage, right? It is just not one sign. There are so many signs which you are able to see, particularly when the individual is going through the obstacles. And when you and me equally go through an obstacles in a marriage, and the time where you're going to surmount those obstacles, that is indeed the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of him being of his existence. right? That is the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existence, that when you surmount those obstacles, it's the sign of His existence, that He is there for you, and that is His rahmah. So that again, now rewind back so that you're able to continuously then build back on the extreme love again. Why? So that you are able to find contentment and tranquility between each other. And then these are again the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the people who reflect. لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, right? Those people who are in the continuous state of reflection. Reflection of what? Reflections of God's revelation. For them, they are able to then understand the in-depthness of this journey of marriage. It's just not coming in together. It is about understanding the differences, right? No doubt the compatibility does not just it does not just it does not emerge like that. You need to fine tune to compatibility, right? You need to work towards it. It's a continuous effort. So hopefully, inshallah, what I have shared with you today is beneficial for me and beneficial for you. Whatever goodness is only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever evil is from myself and the shaitan. I would like to conclude my lesson today, and hopefully, inshallah, we will continue in the next session. Jazakumullah khairun jaza. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.